Welcome to today's show. I have with me Dr. Mari, Melody, and our caller today is Maggie. Welcome, everybody. Maggie, you have a couple of questions that you wanted to direct to Melody and then to Dr. Mari. But first, if you could give us a little bit of background to the situation that you're in so that the listeners can understand what's going on.
Okay, so I'm in this situation with this guy whom I like quite a bit, but he seems to have this woman in his life that she's more important than what he's claiming she is. You know, we were together the other night and he invited her into the room after we had been intimate to make the announcement that her son was sick, and then she didn't leave and she wanted to see if he would leave with her. And after all of that, he didn't. And then she came back 30 minutes later and was like, I'm looking for this. And then she's looking for that in his bedroom. And he keeps telling me that she's not anything but a friend. But after that situation, I felt compelled to leave. And I just feel like I looked at him and he was like, what's wrong? And when he said that to me, I was like, you're not my guy if you have to ask that question.
Okay, so I have a question. Intimate sexually?
Yes.
So she came into the room after you guys were intimate sexually.
Correct.
Okay.
And we were under the covers. I mean, we were not like, I mean, it was for me a private moment still.
Yeah, that's very private. There's something not right there. All right. So what question do you have for Mel?
I guess my question would be, I'd like to read him. I want to understand this dynamic that he has with this girl. I'm trying to understand, what all this is about. I mean, I just don't get everything. I feel a little bit jaded, if you will. So I'd like to understand a little bit about what's going on with him and her.
Okay. What is his birthday? What is his sign?
He's a Virgo.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just connect with his energy. And as I'm shuffling, and this is a little bit off topic, so I do see, and I know this is not what you're asking, and I'm not really going to get into it because it's not directly on topic, but I do see another guy jumping out for you. So there is somebody else in the future coming up for you. This person is a water sign, and he literally jumped out as I'm shuffling for you. So if this person does not work out for you, I see somebody else. So don't lose hope in this situation. Okay.
Okay. That's
just a little, I know you didn't ask about that, but he's jumping out saying, don't forget, there's somebody coming. I'm coming. Don't forget, don't lose hope. I'm here, even though you don't see me. Okay. So as far as this individual, this Virgo man, let's see what's going on with him and this woman. All right. So what I'm feeling immediately is that, and I agree with what Jocelyn was saying, was that it just, it was definitely private. It's really not something that other people should be walking in on. And just the fact that there was another woman there when you were going to be intimate, when it was time for you to spend time together, it's not appropriate. It's not a good thing. And what I'm picking up on is their relationship is a lot more than what he's saying. And what's coming through as far as the cards and the guides and everything is that there's definitely something that's more than just friendship. I feel like they have been intimate. I feel like they continue to be intimate. There's a lot of sneaking around. And she's definitely, there's a situation with money, that he is financially, I feel like he's financially, either she's dependent upon him or was dependent upon him. He leads her on, or he leads her to believe that they are going to be more than what they are. She thinks that there's going to be more, that they're going to be something serious someday. I feel like he has this sense of culture where it's okay to have multiple women, where it's okay to have this background of what culture, if you don't mind me asking, what is her?
He is Israeli, and he has told me that he was intimate with her one time, but that he is not interested in her that way. And just to give you an idea of their dynamic, when they met, a week later, she tried to commit suicide. and he had to come to her rescue. And that's what made them like, he feels like his way of explaining it to me was like he felt obligated to her so that she didn't do something to herself. There is another guy in the equation as well, a guy named Mark, who also comes to her rescue. So it's the two of them.
Yeah.
There's something really wrong here. I can't wait for
Yeah.
Dr. Maury to take a look at this under her
Yep.
microscope.
Yep. It
'Cause there's
definitely feels
something
like
really wrong
she's
here.
trying to trap him. For sure. There's definitely I'm feeling a lot of trapped. I'm feeling a lot of
Well, when she came into the room, I could see how she was trying really hard to plant seeds in my head. First, she was trying to see, is he going to jump out of bed and come help me? No. Okay, well then let me say, oh, my Gatorade was in here from earlier, and my e-cig was in here from earlier. So she's planting seeds in my head. She's doing everything she can to get me to leave that room.
Yeah, but those weren't seeds. Those were absolute signs to you that I was in his bedroom. He and I are intimate, right? And for him to play this game, he's actually bouncing the two of you off of each other. It almost feels like it is a trap bigger than just some girl trying to trap him, but also it feels like he's trying to trap you. It feels like a really dark web to allow another woman into his bedroom while you're in his bed with him. I'll tell you what, dude, this is why women get crazy.
what I'm seeing is, there's a lot of stuff like freeing yourself, and it feels like he's controlling her, believe it or not. And
I believe that 100%.
there's almost this form of like abuse and control, even though there's not it's not super evident. And what's coming to mind, and I'm not even looking at cards right now because what's coming out, and it's crazy because I was watching it today, and when I do readings and there's a really good connection, I start to get pictures in my mind's eye of things that I connect to. And I don't know if you're familiar with this, but I've been watching on TV a lot is like the R. Kelly stuff. And I don't know if you're familiar with that, but there's a lot of stuff right now that like he was keeping women prisoners, and it didn't look that way. He was really good at hiding it. And he had multiple women that he was able to hide, and they had to ask permission to do things. And I feel like there's something like that going on. And I'm not saying he's doing exactly that, but it's that energy. There's something there that he's really good at trapping and hiding and sneaking, and it's multiple people, and he's trying to hold back. He's trying to hold and imprison and abuse, and he comes from this culture where it's okay to have multiple women. That's fine. And I'm not saying he comes from a culture where it's okay to abuse women, but he comes from a place where it's okay to have multiple women.
Mel, and I think, like, honestly, I think he really does like this girl. I think, though, the reason he's attracted to me, I think I remind him of his wife. He's not quite divorced yet. So he hasn't even filed, really. He's just separated. And when he talks about his wife, she's a lot like me. So I think he's like, it's weird. And then I don't understand the need for this girl. It's like he needs to have somebody there. It's so weird.
I do. This is a girl that's needy and she's weak. And I think he's preying on her need. And he is available to her because he's got a checkbook. And so she needs a checkbook. I'm not going to judge her on the committing suicide because I don't know what her mental state is. So I'm going to leave that alone. But I can tell you there's a weakness there. And there is a lot of darkness around two of them. And I don't mean it's dark as in an evil way. I don't mean that. What I mean is that energetically, the energy is very dependent and very low. You see what I mean?
He's good at start, like I see in the past with him. He's good at building trust. Like I feel like he's built her trust up in him, and now it's at a place where she trusted him, and now it feels like she can't turn back. Like it's at a place where it's almost like it doesn't matter what happens now, like going forward. Like she's dependent upon him. Whatever he does, she's dependent.
Yeah, she said something really interesting when she was looking for this e-cig. I looked at her and I said, well, can he get that to you tomorrow? Well, you just should have seen her face. Like when he told her, can I get it to you tomorrow? you saw this fear on her face, like, no. And then she looked at him. She's like, you can't do that to me. And I just looked at her and I was like, what is going on here? Like, freaked me out. This fear in her face.
It's the sense of a fear of separation, a fear of, it's almost like, I don't know if I want to say that she's like a prisoner, but it's almost like she's a prisoner of her feelings. I think that that's a better way of putting it. She's a prisoner of her feelings for him. She's a prisoner of her attachment to him. And she's afraid of losing him. So it's this whole, like, it's almost like she's trying to assert herself, assert her dominance as the alpha female, sort of like, this is my man, or she's trying to like scare you away, is sort of what it was to some extent. Like, this is, I've been in the room, this is my, like, trying to show you, I've been in here.
This is my house.
Yeah,
Right.
I've been in here with him. I've been here. I've been intimate. Why would my stuff be in here if I haven't been in here with him? And so she's trying to prove to you that this has been something that they have done. And I feel like I don't see that, he definitely was attracted to you, is attracted to you. I don't see that he isn't attracted to you. But the problem is he wants his cake, and he wants his cake and he wants to eat it too, kind of thing. Like, he wants it all. He wants multiple.
So do you think he's lying to me and he is still being intimate with her?
It's really cloudy around that, because I feel like the cards that I'm pulling, I pulled 2 different decks around it, and I got the 5 of Swords twice, and I feel that and that symbolizes to me as he's being really sneaky around her. He's really sneaky about her, about the situation with her, and this is directly about what's going on with him and her. This reading is specifically about what's happening with them and him, what he's talking about. I feel like he's not being honest. There's so much going on here.
Well, he did tell me that she knows things about him that he's not ready to tell me, that one day he would be able to tell me, but that she knows a lot of things about him and they're not great things. Like, they're bad things. And he said he didn't want to tell me now because he didn't want me to think badly of him.
So do you see that game? Do you see that game? He basically just said to you, Maggie, this girl over here holds secrets of mine that you can't know right now because you might judge me. And he's also telling you, and I'm not going to tell you because I can trust her with those secrets. And maybe, let's see what Dr. Mari has to say, but maybe what he's saying is, I tell her because I don't think as much of her as I do of you. That could be. But you see, there's a ping pong going on here. Let's, for example, say he's not sleeping with her anymore, and he may not be. He's still fucking with her head. And he's fucking with your head. He's fucking with both your heads. And you have done a lot of work to self-empower yourself. And so I think some of the questions that we should direct at Dr. Mari is, what is it here that's keeping me linked and wrapped up, right? Because part of you is like, I am never going to do that again. And there's another part of you that's like, God, why did this have to happen? What's going on? So I think we should look a little bit more closely at that. What do you think?
I do. For me, this was kind of hard because, like, I don't typically, like, I guard myself pretty well. And I actually felt something this time. And that was hard. Like, it was hard. And I'm not sure why I felt something for him. And if I take anything, like, I feel like at least I know I can feel that way again, but it's just, it's definitely hard.
I think he was soft, and I think he was seductive, and I think he was persistent, and I think he went the extra mile to let you know, I'm here, I'm interested, and that can be very, very seductive, right? But because he's got another woman and he's playing the two of you, I want to see what Dr. Mari says. If you have a specific question to start with Dr. Mari, let's go, because I think she's going to have a ton to say.
Okay. Well, Dr. Mari, I like to specifically ask, like, why did I allow myself to basically get into this situation? What is it about this guy? I don't understand that dynamic from me, because it's like, I still can't comprehend it. Like, how did I allow myself into this situation? And why am I hurt now?
First, you'd have to ask yourself, why were you attracted to this guy? You didn't know this information on the back end, right? So the attraction had nothing to do with what the results are.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And really, honestly, I wouldn't have gone out with him had he not shown up at the race the next day. Because I was on this I'm all about me phase, right? So I didn't want to go out with anybody, but he did something above and beyond. So it was like weird.
So then the question is, when's the last time a man went above and beyond for you?
I can't really remember that happening for a long time.
And so that might be the connector, right? This man goes above and beyond. I didn't have to tell him. I didn't have to, educate him. He just took it upon himself. And that's a building block of a guy that you want. It might not be this guy you want, but the building block of the guy you want, right?
Okay.
So then you allow yourself to open up because you're like, hey, this is on my list, this subconscious list of what you want for a guy. And then he did something else, whatever that something else is, that said, oh, and he has this quality as well. And then we open ourselves a little bit more. So you did what you're supposed to do in relationships. He didn't do what he's supposed to do in relationships. So that's where your responsibility ends, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And he did. He kept doing the right things. Like he would check all the boxes.
Exactly. Now, so that makes sense. He checks all the boxes. So then therefore this equals, this is the guy. That's not true though, right? That's what our feelings tell us. We still have to wait out. Is this exactly who he is? Is this all of who he is? Or this is what he wants me to see?
Right.
And by the time you're like, oh my gosh, this is not all he is. He's more than this. You're already connected.
That's basically what happened.
Right. So for you to be hurt, yes, it hurts when we find out someone's not who they say they are. You should be able to trust people. That should happen. But people also will disappoint you. So anytime you're vulnerable to someone, they have the ability to hurt you. But vulnerability is required to be in relationship.
But Dr. Mari, what is the deal with the game that he played with her and this other girl?
Now so those are two separate things. So one is her and how did she get into this? She got into it the way that you're supposed to get into relationships. Maggie, what you did in relationship was exactly what you're supposed to do. That you did it right. That doesn't mean that people are going to respond right or they're going to do the right thing. That's the danger in relationships. That's the danger in love, period. So you did that right. Now, he's disordered. There's significant disorder stuff over here. The issue, though, is that his disorder that I haven't seen him, so I can't diagnose him, but the disorder that I think he has makes him a very charismatic person. He's very charismatic. He attracts people to him all the time. He knows the right things to do, but in his disordered way, he doesn't know when to stop. He doesn't know how to use it properly. So he ends up causing destruction instead of being, the Barack Obama of relationships.
It does make sense. I feel like he doesn't know how to conduct himself. Like his oblivion to why this situation was wrong was it was amazing to me. Like I couldn't understand that.
And so either he's a really good actor, which is possible, or he is what we call personality disordered. And the problem with personality disorders is that they lack insight. That's the key way of knowing if someone has a personality disorder is if they cannot see they can't get what you're saying. They just don't see it. There's no insight into what their behaviors are. They don't understand why if I slap somebody's angry.
Right. I feel like that would be a little more him because he sometimes, I would tell him, you're missing that filter between your brain and your mouth that says, don't say that. Right. Because he would just say things and he's like, oh, I didn't realize it came across that way.
Right. So that, and so I'll say this is not therapeutic. So, take it for what it's worth. When I am engaged with a personality disorder person, they're extraordinarily frustrating. That's how I know they're the most difficult people in the world. And secondly, I tell people who are engaging with them, run fast, get away, because they'll keep pulling you into their stuff and you'll continue to feel empathy for them, feel sorry for them, because you're like, they just don't get it. So if I just explain it this way, maybe they'll get it. Well, if I just show them this way, maybe they'll get it. And the reality is they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
They're just not going to get it. Now, I haven't seen this man, so I can't say that's his issue, but he sounds like that. And further evidence of that is the relationship with this woman. So for every person that's a narcissist or a narcissistic personality disordered person, they need a codependent. They need someone who's very codependent on them, who the person believes that they hung the moon. They're their rescuer. They're their all and everything. They absolutely have to have someone who is that much of a weak vessel to balance them out.
You know what I hear? You guys, sorry to interrupt. This is Jocelyn. You know what I'm hearing? I can understand, Maggie, what is making you feel so twisted or tied to him. And it is because you so want him to understand what he's done wrong. You're expecting him to be a normal person. And in a way, what Dr. Mari is saying is and I'll use my words because I'm not going to put these words in her mouth, but there's a little bit of a chip missing there, you know? And, he is having a really hard time saying, I get it. And he came back and he said the right thing to you. I can understand, now why you're so upset, when what we would call a normal person would have, maybe there's no such thing as normal, but let's just say a normal person would have said, this girl needs to get out of my bedroom. This is really inappropriate. Mel used that word. It was really inappropriate, and actually should have told her to leave. And so you were picking up some dysfunction, and you were saying to yourself, how can this feel so good and be so dysfunctional? And I guess that's my question to you, Dr. Mari. How come things can feel so good and be so messed up?
Well, I mean, it because he does he fits lots of boxes for her. He checks lots of boxes off. So that feels good. It's just that there's more to the story, and that doesn't feel good. So that, again, that's absolutely normal too. The key is knowing where that boundary lies. How dysfunctional is too much dysfunction? Well, it sounds like we're there. With this woman, his inability to understand how this is so inappropriate, and their faulty relationship that they have going on, and all of that stuff. But I will say this is that I see some of the most brilliant women get involved with men who have narcissistic personality disorder. The most brilliant women, and it's almost required to be a brilliant woman to fall into that trap.
Yeah, well, my last husband was diagnosed with a narcissistic personality.
Yeah. And so I would say that your intellectual abilities, your ability to intellectualize things, it might be why you find yourself in these relationships.
So how do I stop? Help me.
So I believe, and this is kind of hard to say because it doesn't always feel good, it doesn't always turn out right, is that I believe that when you're dating, the guy you're dating helps you discover more about yourself and helps you discover more about what you want in a relationship. And when I see the things that I don't want, I address them often and early, and I make decisions very quickly. So I don't sit in the muck.
So Dr. Mari, for an example, I don't mean to interrupt you, but let's give an example. For example, I'm going to let you do this, but in other words, when he showed up at the race, check off the box. That was a good thing. When he started showing what was going on with this girl, Lauren, and she was in his hat, right? If you could do that, that would be great, because it really helps us nail it down. It's like, signs, right?
So this is the other thing about people with NPD, is that generally they are very fragile people. They have a little person in them that got hurt long ago that they're protecting. That's how they form this personality issue. So I had a client who she's a doctor. She's been divorced from her ex-husband for 20 years. She lived on her own. She's done very well financially. And then she gets this guy that pays so much attention to her. And that's what she really needed. She needed this guy, right? But she didn't realize that he paid so much attention that he knew what she was going to have for lunch that day and what she was going to have for dinner that night. I mean, it was obsessive. Once she looked at, whoa, hold on, I really want somebody to pay attention, but this is a little bit too much attention. Let me address it. So as she started to talk to him, say, hey, I really love the attention you're paying to me. I really enjoy that. However, I still like to have some autonomy, and I don't want to have to report back what I had for lunch and what I had for dinner. And it really feels very odd when you know that without me even reporting it. So help me understand, how you see this. Oh, and he just flew off the handle. I mean, you don't want anybody to care about you. You don't want nobody to love you. All my life, no one's cared about me and no one's loved me. And I'm trying to do this for you. And you. So this is how it starts. At that moment, when she's seeing these things, she has to make a decision. That's why I say often and quickly. Okay, is this too much for me? Is he getting what I'm saying or not? And what he showed was, no, he didn't get what she was saying. He wanted her to feel bad for feeling the way she felt.
Right. He wanted her to feel bad for even questioning him. Right.
So it's slowing down the process and thinking through what is actually occurring here.
Right. Well, and it's like this guy too, like he makes me, what he says to me is, I want to be completely honest with you. I wasn't able to be honest with my wife. So I want to show you all these facets of my life. So in a way, he's justifying showing me these things like Lauren and these other things and the things that he says sometimes. And he's like, I just want to be honest with you about who I am. And in a way, I felt like, well, okay, then I have to be open to receiving that, since he is taking the effort to be honest.
Except he also said that he was hiding things from you that only Lauren knew. And that's
right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that double side. But in the same instance, he would say, Jocelyn, but eventually I'm going to tell you those things.
Right. So what is that? Do you have to earn that? You see what I'm saying? And I'm being a little hard, not with you, Maggie, but toward him.
No. Absolutely. Like he even said those words. He's like, I have to know that I can trust you with those things and know that you're not going to judge me. It's like he was like, I'm not going to do it yet because we're kind of fresh and new. You know what I mean? And like the way I wanted to start the relationship with him, he was giving me all the attention. It was wonderful. But what I had sat down and talked to him about is I said, let's just date. Let's not be intimate. Let's not do any of that. We can both date whoever we want. So whatever this dynamic was that I was going on could be, if we decided we liked each other and we were going to take it to the next level, we would both clean up our stuff, right? But he was, and it takes two to tango, and I'm not saying I wasn't there too, but he wasn't about that. He was about, no, I want you to be mine, and I don't want you dating other people. I don't like that, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, and it was nice to have somebody to say that to me, like, I want you and I don't want to share you with anyone. So I feel like I just kind of fell into that and like, oh, wow, somebody wants me that much. That's great.
But once you're in, what is it going to take? 3 months, 6 months? When's he going to finally trust you and show you the ugly warts? And God, what are the ugly warts? Because the last thing we want.
Well, I got some of the ugly warts that
Well,
night.
definitely you did. I mean, yeah. So maybe he's a little more transparent than we think.
I know. If these are just some of the warts, I don't want to see the rest of the warts.
And I think that's, at the very beginning of that. And so sometimes, let me go back. When you don't allow yourself to feel, when you do feel, you don't know how to process, right? You don't know what to really make of this. Like you said, I was just excited that somebody wanted me that much, right? And it's because I haven't been feeling it all. And now here this person is giving me all of this, and I've been starving for it anyway. So that, that's one. But number two is that he told you at the very beginning he wasn't going to honor your wishes. He wasn't going to honor your boundaries. He said,
right.
No.
Why didn't I hear that?
Well, because you haven't practiced this. This takes practice. This is not you jump in and you know what to do. This is I practiced kissing a whole bunch of frogs to get to my prince. And most people don't want to do that because that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
yeah, absolutely.
So when he said, no, I want you to be mine. I don't want you to see anybody else. What he said was, I don't like your boundary and I'm not going to honor it.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, how do you know that? You come to a therapist or you talk to on a podcast or you kissed enough frogs to know when to set your boundaries. But without that experience, you would have no way of knowing that. So I really want you to give yourself, a break on what you can't know what you don't know.
What about filling herself up? You made a comment, you said, you hadn't felt that, you hadn't gotten that. And I do know her, and I will tell you, she's very powerful. She definitely stands in her own power. She's worked really hard to be independent, to really love herself. But this little thing that pulls it at us, like you said, a lot of us wind up going with somebody that gives us so much. So how does she fill herself up? At the same time, because she doesn't want to walk around feeling like an empty vessel. And I think, as women, when we do have somebody that pays us that attention, when we don't get that, we almost feel like there's a wind blowing through us and we're wrapping our own arms around ourselves and we're saying, God, I feel so empty. I really loved the way that felt.
Yeah, and it seems like the guys, like, I'm gonna tell you, just like that I attract or that I seem to get like to be acquainted to, it's either there's no attention at all and they can go a week to 2 weeks without communication, but then when we're together, it's wonderful, it's amazing. Or I get like the other extreme where it's too much. And this guy had the right, I mean, he just had the right sauce. It was just enough, but not too much. And it was just odd.
It sounds to me like what Dr. Mari was saying is you're close. You got really close. He had the right sauce, except he had this one little thing over here, probably 20 little things over here. We just haven't uncovered them. And it came in the form of another woman. And that's just an absolute no, that's a non-starter for you. And I think that in our minds, what we think is if we can just get rid of her, this would be perfect, except there will be 20 other hers, maybe not in the form of a person, but it could be my divorce, my ex-wife, my business, it could be 20 other things. And I think that, Mari, did you answer the question that I was asking about how she fills herself up?
It sounds like she does a lot of that already. She stands in her own power. She loves on herself. And now it's to extend it into a relationship. So that's where you have to make sure your needs are being met inside the relationship pretty much at all times, right? Especially if I'm a person that says, I do crave that attention. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't lose sight of the person that's giving it to you. And that might be where you deviate, is that you lose sight of who is this person really? Why are they giving me this much attention? Why are they, the why behind their motive, the motive behind their why. And so I don't know that you need to do anything much different than what you're doing right now, besides just really looking at the person that's giving it to you before you get completely attached to them.
Okay, can I butt in real quick here? What my guides have been yelling as far as how to help Maggie with moving forward and not repeating the same mistakes and how to avoid just struggling with these types of situations is really, they're just screaming, pay attention to the red flags. This whole thing is really about learning that lesson. And because you are a strong person, Maggie, you do fill yourself up, you do empower yourself. And really, this is just about seeing that, these signs, this whole situation has been to teach you to trust your intuition, to trust that this woman has been, yes, unfortunately, this man had all those wonderful things. He had the middle ground of the attention that you were looking for. But then this woman was the deal breaker. And like Jocelyn said, there were probably lots of secrets behind closed doors that didn't get revealed. That would have been revealed if you continued down the road with him. But the red flags, really, this would have been, just like Mari said, he crossed your boundaries. He didn't respect your boundaries. So this is all stuff for you to learn, to walk away and to take into, I like to call it a toolbox, to the next relationship, to the next situation, to the next people that you meet, and really just cutting the cord early. And when there's signs like crossing boundaries like this, exactly, just, okay, he's crossing my boundaries. He's not respecting my boundaries. I'm walking away. Like literally no tolerance. And I know that's really, really hard, but that's what's going to help you is preventing from getting attached to these people. And I know that's really extreme.
Or maybe take a step back.
Yeah.
Maybe just say, you know what, wait a second. He crossed one of my boundaries. And I think Melody teaches this in our workshop. You take a piece of paper and you put a line down the middle. And when a guy crosses your boundaries or a girl crosses your boundaries, it could be friends, it can be lovers, whatever it is, you write it down because it comes out of your mind. It's now right in front of you. And you're going to remember that. And we don't want to take it. And it's not like a weapon. We're going to beat it over the person's head. But it is a reminder to us, wait a second, I need to think about that. This doesn't feel good. And then you can go to them, like Mari said, and say, hey, I need to tell you something. When this was happening. This is the way this made me feel. And watch how somebody reacts. Because like Mari said, what do you call it, Mari? Narcissistic personality disorder? Yeah, NPD. Okay. So a narcissist will go absolutely crazy and say, what? You what? Right. And make a big, where somebody else will stop and they'll be a little bit more contemplative about it. They'll think, they'll apologize to you. They'll say, I try to remember that. But I noticed that when people get really big and dramatic, when we tell them you crossed a boundary of mine, it's usually a defense to make us feel like we said something wrong. And I think that that's probably what is bothering you, Maggie, is subconsciously you set your boundaries. You did everything you were supposed to do. And he, in a very maybe surreptitious way, he was bashing your boundaries and you felt it, but you couldn't put your finger on it because it felt so good. It's like having really great sex and a really great connection, and the person's crazy. How can that be when it feels so good? It just is sometimes, right? Why don't we do this? Why don't we wrap it up by having Melody talk about this new guy that you're going to meet instead of dwelling on this old guy that you're not going to stay with anyway, because you're way too good for that.
Okay. So what I can tell you is moving forward. So I pulled some cards looking at where we're closing doors. We're shutting the doors of what we talked about, and we're looking ahead instead of behind us. Okay. And we're not looking at the past anymore. You do need to do some forgiving of yourself. You need to do some learning of this experience, and you need to kind of free yourself and release some of this, not really drama, but sort of drama, some of these wounds that you've kind of accumulated from this. But that you can do. You can heal all that and do a little bit of energy work. And I'm not going to get too into that because I know you already know what I'm talking about. But moving forward from that, I do see a new man coming in. And this person is going to be a water sign. And because the reason why I know it's a water sign is because when I was shuffling at the beginning, it was the King of Cups who jumped out. And that is a water sign is either a Cancer, a Scorpio, or a Pisces. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. All I'm seeing is a water sign right now. So you're going to be kind of open to that. But I pulled some cards going forward. And again, I got the Lover's card. So there's definitely new love coming for you. And it's coming. It's somebody, it's going to be a solid relationship. It's not going to be just dating. It's going to turn into real love. It is going to be attraction. It is going to be romantic love. And it is going to be safe. It is going to be something that you're going to be able to be comfortable in. I do see before this happens, you need to kind of give yourself a little bit of a break. And I know that you've taken time already for yourself because, like you've said, you don't meet people. It takes you a while before you really, you haven't really found anybody in a long time that you've liked. You got to give yourself a little bit of time in between this situation and the next one, and you'll know when. I'm not going to tell you when because that's really in your intuition. And you need to play and have fun and lighten things up because I see really like your concerns fading away, your wishes coming true. Things are going to change. It's going to shift. Things are going to change to a happy outcome after you've taken this time of reflection. And it's really like the energy is shifting. You're closing doors. It's ending. These are endings. These struggles, you've learned so much. It's really, really changing in the sense of like I pulled the World card, which is really like closing the door, closing the energy of where you're at now. It's almost like ending the last chapter of a book. You're ending this part of your story as far as struggling with relationships in this area. You've learned so much and it's sweeping away the old and moving into the new. And once you've taken this little bit of time to reflect and heal, and I'm talking about a little bit, I'm not talking about years or not even really months. I just see a little bit of time. You're going to move forward with this brand new energy of refreshment, moving forward. And I see the reason why I say being refreshed, I see it almost like naive and you're going to approach it in a bright, new, happy way with new eyes. And the reason why I say it that way is because I pulled the Fool card for your next step. And I don't mean be a fool. I mean, you're going to look up to the skies and be happy. You're going to be almost like with childlike wonder. You're going to try this next relationship with the wise things that you've learned, but you're also going to enjoy it. Allow yourself to enjoy. And it looks like it's going to be really happy. I see you guys going on vacation. I see it being really moving kind of, not moving quickly, but I see the person coming in kind of fast. Like you're going to meet him quickly after you've taken this little break of time. And you're going to actually kind of have to put up your boundaries and be like, whoa, I'm not ready. Whoa, I'm not ready. Like this is going to be another test of boundaries coming up, and to see if you've learned, have you learned? And can you, I see like this getting to know each other stage. And because I pulled the 8 of Wands, which is quite very fast moving. And I just see you it's testing you. Can you stay true to your boundaries? And he will respect it, but he might test you a little bit. So you need to stand strong and be like, no, I need to take my time getting to know you. But aside from that, I mean, I really see fresh beginnings, a happy outcome, wishes coming true, concerns fading away. Like this person's going to be a really good person. He's going to be romantic. He's going to be attracted to you. You're going to be attracted to him. It's going to be really, really good. Potential, like even, I mean, I'm hesitant to say all the way down the road to like engagement, but there's potential there. There is potential. So this is like a solid relationship. This isn't some little thing. And I don't see I didn't pull any negative cards. Not one negative card came up here. So what's happening is you're really learning something. You're learning something, you're letting go, and you're moving forward. So really now what you need to do is take everything you've learned from this experience, from this podcast, from the experience that you just had, close that door, take your time to heal, and then move forward. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
Do you have any questions about it?
No, I feel like that everything you said is when you hit it home, when you said testing my boundaries and me standing true to what I want to stand true to. That is something I feel like I have been tested that. And sometimes I falter in that area and I need to stay true to myself. So,
yeah. And the right man. So if you're not sure if this is the right man, right? If you're not sure, if a man comes along and you think this is the right guy and you're unsure and he's testing your boundaries, and just like Mari said, if he blows up, he's not the right one. Because the right man is not going to blow up. He is going to be understanding, because this guy that's coming is sweet and kind and gentle and understanding and respectful. I mean, he might rush because he's excited, but it's not going to be the guy that's going to blow up. He will rush a little bit because guys are, they get a little, oh, I want to jump in bed and get it. They get like that, but it's an excitement and anticipation. It's not a, screw you kind of thing. It's more of just an excitement. And I see him possibly rushing, but as soon as you say, no, I'm not ready, I see him going, oh, okay. All right. Well, you let me know when you're ready, and continuing to move forward at your pace. That's what I see. So if you meet somebody and he doesn't do that, that means that he's not the right one. And if you allow him to push your boundaries, then it just means that it's your guys just saying, oh, you haven't learned that lesson yet. We gotta do it again. So, learn from that lesson and move forward so that you don't have to repeat that again.
yeah.
I also think that this situation that you just experienced is a really great lesson.
Yeah.
And I think that if you really think about it, you'll thank him. It's sort of like he's the period after the sentence. And you'll also thank the girl that was involved. And that's part of the forgiveness process, because you really realize that, you pulled this to yourself, and it's the finale. It's your grand finale to slam the door and allow this new guy in, and to really grasp that you're creating this is what you want, and now you can accept it. And sometimes that's what we do. We sort of trip up a little bit, and then we go, oh yeah, I remember. I know what to do. I get a hold of myself. I can walk. I've got this. And you can put that behind you. And I think that Melody is really right on. I a little bit more on the King of Cups. I usually read by hair color and eye color, but I think that he's lighter eyed, and lighter haired. That's the other thing that I pick up from him. So anyway, do you have any more questions, Maggie, for anybody? Because if not, we'll wrap up.
No, I think that you guys have answered everything. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being on with us today. We would love to have you come back on again. You're a really great guest. And I know that you have a women's empowerment group that Elizabeth, who was actually on another podcast with Dr. Mari and me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be great to have, either one of you or both of you back on to talk a little bit about some, empowerment, just human empowerment, not necessarily gender specific, but I think that would be really great. It's definitely what we ascribe to. So thanks again for joining us, and everybody have a great time. If you would like to have a consultation with any of us, please go to JocelynLive.com.